Okay, well, as some of y'all have come to see in previous series, it's coming to the point where we are finally getting around to making birds. We kind of did the cardinal last time around, but I happen to have these leftover scraps from when I was sawing out blanks for horses, and before I really went this far, they were not this much cut out, but did decide based on, the way they came out with the little lines in them. I decided to spread those out to make the wings and kind of do a little sawing out above the upper part to make the head and make them into these little doves. So that is what we're going to have here is we're going to start carving little doves out of these pieces of spalted holly scrap. So there's a place here where you see I drew that little line there, and we're going to kind of come along that and sort of make it where we sort of will see little lines come about and make little birds come this way and see how they're going to show a little how they're like little signs of peace. I just always kind of remember the old Prince song When Doves Cry, and and remember how that song was kind of themed about, and and how doves were supposed to be symbols of peace, and that it was like when symbols of peace cry was kind of what Prince's situation was like. And we've come along this way, decided I would kind of make these doves as a duo here and kind of make them so their heads are coming out the same way, and could even to that matter probably choose to end up selling them as a set. That's how I think they're going to go to be a good set for a couple of doves, and how we kind of work about what we do and how we do it. Tell you all little things I came across on social media lately, like talking about old Jimmy Buffett's death. How died this past Friday, and I mean, I never really kept up with him much or much of his music, but many places I've been where there have been public radios, I've often heard that Margaritaville song that's been out for a long time. Just never really paid attention to the title or the artist or who sang it, and then even knew that Jimmy Buffett was a name for a long time, but never knew exactly what he sang. And then I tell you, when it comes across the time where his name comes up on all these memorial videos, and so does that song, it kind of goes to show me a little something. It kind of just brings back old memories of hearing that song in those places, and think about how it probably does end up kind of being a sad time for a lot of people, because he was popular, a lot of people loved him, a lot of people knew him. He was always just somebody whose name often was heard. I had kind of heard the title Cheeseburger in Paradise, but never really heard the song. But he seemed to probably have a talented voice from what I hear being played in videos these days. Finally got a little bit more of the wing carved out from this one. probably going to put a little bit more work into the wingspan of this other little dove as well. Try to work my way into making the dove so it's going to be a peaceful little emblem of a symbol to come about and make people see what really is the light of day and how we're going to see it in all we do and all we make and say and see. And oh, I tell y'all, little work comes this way, and I tell y'all, hollowing out just the undersides that make the poor little dove's wings. Oh, I say, it's just the work we put in to everything we do, I say, and probably would say there'd come a time when couldn't really wait to try to make so much more. And I've always heard it said that doves can be a real popular bird for around Christmas time, and I've probably got somewhere some old junk piece of holly berry and leaves, fake ones that might be able to use to decorate the doves a little bit once I get them made out. I even, to that matter, when I was a lot younger, kind of took some doves that I carved out of plywood on the scroll saw and painted white and put little leaves and berries on them that I sort of gave as gifts. One of them ended up going to my paternal grandparents, who at the time were in North Carolina. Both of them are passed away now, and all my grandparents are, of that matter. So, you know, we kind of learned that we appreciate people while they're still around, and even among my relatives who still live today. I went to see my great aunt last night. She was my grandmother's brother's widow, and of course, ever since my grandmother's brother passed away, she married another man, and he, again, is somebody who we've, known all our lives. He was a missionary in the missions work that the churches I grew up in supported, and he was just one of those who was already in a way like family to us. They dated, they got married, and currently he's in critical condition. He's in the nursing home, and you know, Lord may call him home soon, so keep him in your prayers. Keep the family in your prayers, because it's going to really be a time, and he's getting tired of all his suffering. He's ready to go be with Jesus and rest. I mean, it's going to be good for him. He'll be happy when he gets there, because he's been sick and suffering quite a long time. You know, sometimes when I think of doves, I sort of think about the story of Noah's Ark. I didn't really pay attention to which bird did which whenever I read the story over and over again, but there was both a dove and a raven in the story, and one time he sent out a dove and another time he sent out a raven. Have to do a little more research to find out exactly which bird was sent out which time to do which thing, and you know, that was just kind of my little point of interest when it came to these things. You see, we kind of gotten further along, sort of made out the insides of the wings. There's a place here where we're going to round off a little bit to make this little belly and underside of this tail, and kind of make it so it's going to come out a little better and nicer to be what it's going to be. I say that this is just the way we see how work shall come along to make it so we're going to know what we do in times like these, lesson times. All we know is that there's the work we do of our hands, and finally we got the underside of the tail carved out of this one. Think we're going to go along, move along the belly of this other one to try to get it so it gets a little rounder in ways and make it so it's going to come the way it does, and then finally just round the tail off and make a little birdie of it. And oh, the ways you see how kids do these days. They like little creatures and think they're really interesting and all, but when it comes down to doing this, we probably got another little step or two to take here. We just gotta work the rest of the way on this underside of this dove's tail, and maybe we'll come back to do another video and show a little more, but that's how we've come along for this one. And I say that this is just strange things. Oh, oh, oh. Let little things go back to earth. And then finally work along the little places where we need to round things out a little bit, round off little birds and make them so they're going to see a little brightness in us. And oh, I say, oh, little work finally come along this way. We're going to kind of work along the rest of the tail to round things off a little bit, and then just kind of do a little thing like this. It's just kind of like a little light work to take us somewhere. And so, bright days, bright nights, and all things, it's all gonna work out for the better, to see all of us in better places. We probably already got started on the head a little here, but I'd say it's probably time to kind of close up a little bit, maybe come back on the next to show a little more, just kind of work these things along as we go, and that's how it works. We're probably going to show a little more as we come back on soon, so I'd be happy to have you all come back to watch the next video with me as I take a few little more further steps. And thanks again for watching. Goodbye.